Hello you, welcome to Geekism and welcome to something a little bit different today. I'm going to be showing you how you can attempt to replicate the themes from Planet Coaster 1 using the base game of Planet Coaster 2. Fans of the channel will know I've been a little bit vocal about the fact that I don't think we need the old themes back, honestly. I'm very much looking forward to playing around with new themes. But there is something to be said, especially with like sort of pirate and western, that those themes, you know, they did feature a lot more in theme parks than the base themes out of the box do. But that's the whole thing about Planet Coaster. This is Lego. You can do whatever you like with it. You just got to put your mind to it. You just got to take a good look at the pieces. You got to try and use the pieces, perhaps not necessarily in the way they are intended. So we're going to start off by taking a look here at this little Western vignette. I've basically built vignettes for Western, Fantasy, and Pirate. I haven't done Sci-Fi, and I'll talk about that a little bit later on as to why. But here we are, having a look at our saloon and our bank. Each of these that I'm going to show you today probably took me, I'll be honest, about an hour and 32 hours maybe each. But I am still very much learning all the pieces in the game, figuring out what you can do with them, what's recolorable and what's not. But I just wanted to show you that, you know, this kind of stuff, it is possible, okay? And just because something says Viking on it doesn't mean it needs to be Viking. This bank, it's a Viking bank. This wall piece is Viking wooden wall. This down here is actually, I think this is a mythological fence, or there's a mythology fence too here. That's a mythology picnic set. This sort of Dunkin' barrel is a Viking planter with water pieces on top. These are very cool. They're water pieces that you can shape. Very, very neat. The windows, I believe, are resort windows. Yeah, resort windows. There you go. This wall set is just called wooden wall, which is nice. The saloon doors here are a Viking window, and yeah, all of the pieces. These are all sort of market decorations. I think these are called Viking wooden crates. Oh, Viking crates, just a crate. I mean, come on. There's a few different crates in the game. Some of them have metal framing on them, some of them don't. That's kind of what makes it the Viking, is that metal, but I still think it looks fine here. We have a nice little wagon. I think this is part of the Viking set, but again, it's just a wagon, man. It's a wagon with barrels in it. Wagons roll. This is as far as I'm concerned, a pretty solid Western little vignette. You know, obviously some of this takes a little bit of time to do, but I purposely not tried to use 1,000 pieces making a lampshade or something here, because that's one of the reasons that a lot of people do like the themes, using them out of the box as they come, and that is because it does keep the piece count down, especially for consoles. So I purposely haven't really tried to use 1,000 pieces here to generate one or two things. I did custom roof this here. These are planks. The reason I did that is because it's very difficult to get this kind of angle in the base game. But you know, that's only because I made the building this shape. Like you don't have to. This is just an out of the box roof here. This is aged wood roof, and we've got some beautiful corrugation on the back here. Again, none of these are finished. These are basically for the thumbnail. It's just so that I can show you and say, look at that. There's Western, all right, and we've even got a little campsite down here with, oh man, he wants to keep that dynamite away from the fire. The fire is just some rocks, a fire special effects, and some wooden planks. This is a wooden pillar piece coloured red, and a piece of string in the top of it. Gives yourself some pretty good dynamite. These are market pieces, but I'm sorry, that's a pillow and a sleeping bag, or a sleeping mat, right? And then these are canopy pieces, Planet Coaster canopy, a resort signpost, and some string. The fact that so much of the stuff in the game is both recolorable and resizable, and also, honestly, I feel like they've made a conscious decision to make the pieces a little bit more generic so that they do cross over in this way. Like, yes, this is a Viking wagon, I guess, but I'll be honest with you, I feel like in Planet Coaster 1 this would have had horns on it, or a dragon face or something. And obviously there are still parts like that are a little bit higher themed. We'll see some of them as we move through, but for the most part you can just take a look at some of these. And I'm sorry, but that to me looks like a Western set. I think it's very. I don't want to sound too negative here, because it's just one of the things that really bug me. People saying, "Oh, I want a Western set." Here it is. You've got wooden planks. you've got barrels, you've got Western, basically. Okay, I won't lie. Fantasy was a little trickier. The big thing we're missing from the game currently to really make fantasy sort of pop off as you expect it are spires and round shapes, round stone, things like that. We currently have the 4-meter round stone like this. So this is the, as you would expect it, normal sort of pieces, but that's about as thin as it gets. We don't really have any decent pillars of stone, and we don't have the very pitched round roofs. There are a couple of Viking pieces that work quite nicely like this one, but we don't have those classic sort of spires, the Disney castle spires, and that's really the only thing I think that is really letting down the ability to build fantasy at the moment. Otherwise, you've got beautiful wooden pieces. I mean, this is a Snow White cottage if ever you saw one, right? These are Viking windows. This is this is Viking wall decoration. Is this beautiful stone wall that we're going to be using a lot of? Flower bed is sat into here to create windowed flower beds. There's a little bit of mythology detailing around the place. The Viking windmills, brass decorations there. Here we're moving over to. It's a lot of Viking stuff on this one, to be honest with you. But all of the planting works really nicely. There's an anvil here. It's called stone decoration for some reason. One thing I would love to see is at the moment all of these little things that are so useful, barrels with little cloths over them. I mean, look at that. It's absolutely gorgeous. These things with the apples on, they're all just called market decoration. So you kind of have to search for marketplace and then go through them. I would love for this to come up if I type in crate, and I would love for this to come up if I type in barrel. This is a barrel, but this is a market decoration 8, and yeah, so that would be really great. I don't know if you can rename items or if we would need them to do it. But the other thing about fantasy is you've got to have lots of beautiful foliage. We have these beautiful flower beds, this gorgeous heather, these grapevines are very neat. This isn't not something I made. This is a single piece in the game. Grapevine pergola, and there's lots of other individual grapevine pieces as well. We have this beautiful Pegasus, looks very fantasy to me. All of this beautiful wisteria, and there's some really great lights, I think, that also give a real fantasy vibe. These beautiful flower lights, and this is a resort piece that I've just shrunk down and hid it through the reeds there. And we've got a couple of mist and what are these called? The pollen, the leaves, sort of hanging down leaves. I don't know. And fantasy is the trickiest one, I'll be honest with you, and like I say, we would love some spires. Interestingly, in the scenery section of roofs, there is a, where is it? There's a spire section, I know it. Here, spires. I got all excited when I saw it, but at the moment there are just these two pretty goofy aquatic pieces. Although if you're going for steampunk, I actually think these would be pretty great, because these, yes, they look a little bit goofy, but if you take the edge off them with a color, if you bring these into more of sort of copper looking things, I think you're on track for doing some really quite cool stuff within a steampunk vibe. Obviously that's not quite right, but you get the idea. So fantasy is doable, I think, but it is a little bit of a stretch at the moment. I would love to see these spires get fleshed out, but otherwise I'm actually really quite happy with how this looks. I'm very happy with this little building. I think that's very cute. So before we take a look at Pirates, I did want to briefly talk about SciFi, and the reason why I haven't tried to replicate SciFi is I think the SciFi theme in Planet Coaster 1 was terrible. I found it very unusable, very unwieldy. They were all huge pieces that were very specific. There's that big dog animatronic. I feel like it was probably one of the first things they designed when they were developing the game, and you'll notice through the development of the game we saw very little like it moving forward. I do think there is some very interesting and exciting possibilities for science fiction themes in Planet Coaster 2, mostly due to the aquatic theme, but I can't replicate the original Planet Coaster theme with this, so I didn't want to. But I'm not saying that sci-fi shouldn't be done in the game. I'm actually saying we could actually do a really great sci-fi theme in Planet Coaster 2 with a mix of the aquatic and mythology and Viking pieces, and I think what you'll actually get is a much better palette of tools to use to create a grungier, more sort of grounded sci-fi, something similar to the science fiction world of Star Wars or Firefly, that lived in sci-fi world, as opposed to more of the I guess sort of Star Trek-y kind of looking sheer metal of the original game. So I haven't replicated it here. I just wanted to put down a few of the aquatic pieces to show you that it's actually quite variable. I mean, you can ignore the coral here, it's all a bit goofy, but the actual pieces here, especially because they're recolorable, you're going to be able to come in and create a lot of really awesome sort of grungier sci-fi aesthetics using these to bring these down into some nice sort of grungy browns, some grungy browny greys, that sort of thing. You're going to be able to do some really great stuff between this and then adding all of the marketplace stuff, all of the barrels and netting and what have you. I think you'll actually be able to create a much nicer sci-fi theme. Stay tuned on the channel because I will be covering that sort of stuff in a future video. But this is more about sort of replicating the original ones, the final one being pirates. And here I think I've saved the best till last because, quite honestly, there is a pirate theme in this game. Some of the stuff is called Viking, some of the stuff is called Marketplace, some of the stuff is called Resort, but you look at this and tell me there isn't a Viking theme, a pirate theme in this game, I completely disagree. There is a beautiful jetty. These aren't individual planks. This is a single piece here. This is, let's have a look. This is Viking jetty. Which is made up of these planks, and then there's a few individual planks down here just to kind of keep it a little bit more interesting. These little boats are just called shipwreck lifeboats. There's also a few different shipwreck pieces here, shipwreck hull, and a few others, and then these are just sort of plain planks that we have floating here. This stone is actually Viking stone, but I've sort of browned it a little bit to give it more of a sort of dock style looking thing. We're using a lot of these marketplace pieces, obviously barrels everywhere, planters that I forgot to put a plant in, real nice, Jonty, good job. And then again here we've used a couple of different ways of doing crenellations, by the way. I forgot to mention in the last building. So here we've got the Viking stone wall, and then at the top Viking wall decoration to create crenellations. Over here in Fantasy, I've done a similar thing, but it's using the stone ruin wall and the temple ruins piece number 6 just sunk in to give yourself a crenellation. So crenellation is very possible. It's just really those spires we're struggling with. And then we have more Viking wood here. This is a Viking boat piece. Viking longship sunk into a Viking door. We have this cool bamboo planter piece. We have a couple of awesome sails. I put them both down here and a little bit over the top just to kind of show you. These do have sort of symbols in them, but even still, you know, I've made these ones all the same, so you can't really see it. But even if you do see it, like, it's not that Viking-y, I don't think, you know, like, it's just sea serpent. It's the sort of thing that you would very much see in Pirates as well. Yes, it's got a little bit of the sort of Viking filigree going on, but I just don't think that's terrible, honestly. I think that's perfectly acceptable for a pirate theme. And then obviously you have these ones here where it's all tucked up out the way anyway, and you can use. And then the last sort of big key part of pirate, I think, is like a stucco kind of building. Again, doable. A few more different trim pieces would be nice, but at the moment I do find it very doable. Here we've used some stucco pieces. This is an upside down vase or vase to create a sort of bell looking thing. These are plaster pieces, and then these are brick decals, and then we've just sort of made a little archway there and sunk them in a little bit to give you some depth. These window pieces, these are Viking window pieces, but they look like the windows on a ship, if you ask me. So we've used them here in this ship looking build. So we've got the sort of original sandstone, ship, flotsam and jetsam, and stucco. I feel like those are your big hits for pirate. We've also got this little fountain here that we've made using some recolored aquatic pieces and an anchor. That's anchor without the W. All of this chain pieces. I mean, this was literally in the pirate set in game 1. And then the only thing I've really kind of gone to town on here are these cannons and cannonballs. The cannonballs are beach balls recolored. You can, as you come into them, you can actually see the seams on them. Those are beach balls. The cannon is a couple of aquatic pipe pieces, a couple of bamboo pillars, and a cog wheel. And I think you get a pretty serviceable cannon there. And obviously, each of these themes has a really great foliage palette to go alongside it. So obviously palms and ferns and lots of water, reeds and lilies and stuff to build out your pirate theme. Here in the fairy tale, we've obviously got a lot of the beautiful colours of flowers, heather, this gorgeous wisteria, and then some just more sort of traditional plants behind it. And then Western, obviously, whilst we don't just have the classic cactus, we do have these cacti. We have two different types of cacti, and then obviously the creosote bushes, the sort of what do they call them? The balls of bush that roll. I can't remember what the word is, but so a much drier palette. And then obviously we've got a more sort of North American tree line as well. It doesn't really go here, but these are the two sort of palettes of planting that you'll find for a Western theme. The sort of very dry cacti and succulents, or then the more sort of northern taiga biome. So there you go. 3, I think, pretty good stabs. This is definitely the weakest. This, I think, is definitely the strongest, and really, Western, there's not much more you can do with it. It's, wooden boxes with Saloon written on them and some barrels outside. So there you go. You don't need the Planet Coaster 1 themes, folks. You just need a bit of time, a bit of patience, and a bit of creativity, and perhaps this as a bit of a starting off point to kind of tell you that you can do it. You can do it. If the piece says Viking, it doesn't mean it's a Viking piece. You can ignore Frontier when they name their pieces. Just ignore them, and you can make cool looking stuff like this in the themes that you love from the first game. Thank you so much for watching. I really hope you've enjoyed it. It's a little different this one today, but I have a bit of a bee in my bonnet about this and wanted to get it off my chest. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you in the next one. Until then, be good.